The stars looked different out here. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UHS Defiant, watching the endless black space through the main screen. They were far from Earth now, farther than any human ship had gone before. The mission was simple: explore, map, and report back. Nothing more. "Sir, we're picking up something on long-range sensors," said Captain Lisa Hayes from her station. Her fingers moved quickly over the control panel, checking the readings twice. "It's big, really big." Morrison walked over to her station and looked at the display. Green dots filled the screen, moving in a tight formation toward their position. He counted them quickly. 47 ships, all much larger than the Defiant. "How long until they reach us?" Morrison asked, keeping his voice calm. The bridge crew was watching him, waiting for orders. "At their current speed, about 6 hours," Hayes replied. She looked up at him with worried eyes. "Admiral, those ships are huge. Each one is at least 3 times our size." Morrison nodded slowly. The Defiant was not a warship. It looked like what it was supposed to be, an exploration vessel. The hull was simple gray metal, scratched and worn from months in space. The ship was only 800 feet long, small compared to the massive warships back home. It carried a crew of 200 people, mostly scientists and engineers. "Send a message to Earth," Morrison ordered. "Tell them we've made contact with an alien fleet, include our position and the sensor data." Lieutenant Commander Ben Carter, the science officer, looked up from his station. "Sir, at this distance, it will take 12 hours for the message to reach Earth." "Send it anyway," Morrison said. He turned to face the main screen again. The alien ships were still too far away to see, but he knew they were coming. "And Ben, make sure you include everything. Ship counts, sizes, formation patterns, everything." The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the engines and the beeping of computer systems. The crew worked at their stations, but Morrison could feel their tension. They all knew what this meant. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. "Admiral," Hayes called out, "I'm getting a communication signal from the alien fleet." "Put it through," Morrison said, straightening his uniform. This was the moment they had trained for, but it still felt unreal. The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The creature had smooth, pale skin and large black eyes. Its head was longer than a human's, with a narrow chin and high forehead. When it spoke, the words came through the ship's translation system. "Human vessel," the alien said, its voice flat and cold. "I am Fleet Commander Thexra of the Zephyrian Armada. You have entered our space without permission. Surrender your ship immediately, or it will be destroyed." Morrison stepped forward, making sure he was visible on the screen. "I am Admiral Jake Morrison of the United Human Systems. We come in peace. We had no knowledge that this was your territory." The alien's expression did not change. "Your ignorance is not our concern. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have ruled this region of space for over 500 years. Lesser species either serve us or are eliminated. We would like to discuss this diplomatically," Morrison said. "Perhaps we can reach an understanding." Commander Thexra seemed amused by this. "You wish to negotiate? Your single ship against our entire fleet? How many weapons do you carry? How many warriors?" Morrison glanced at Hayes, who shook her head slightly. She was telling him not to reveal their true capabilities. "We have defensive systems," Morrison said carefully. "But we prefer peaceful solutions." "Peaceful," Thexra repeated, as if the word tasted bad. "Your species sounds weak." "Very well. You may send a small delegation to our flagship. We will hear your words before we decide how quickly to destroy you." The screen went black. Morrison turned to face his crew. They were all looking at him, waiting for orders. "Sir," Carter said quietly, "their ships are definitely warships. I'm reading heavy armor, energy weapons, and some kind of shielding system. They're not explorers like us." Captain Amy Rodriguez, the chief engineer, spoke up from her station near the back of the bridge. "Admiral, I've been scanning their formation. They're confident. Maybe too confident. They're not even trying to hide their approach." "What do you mean?" Morrison asked. "They're coming straight at us. No evasive maneuvers, no attempt at stealth. They think we're no threat at all, Rodriguez explained. They're treating this like a routine stop, not a first contact situation. Morrison walked to the center of the bridge and sat in his command chair. He pressed a button on the armrest, opening a ship-wide communication channel. "Attention all crew," he announced. "We have made contact with an alien fleet. They have requested a diplomatic meeting. I want everyone to remain calm and follow standard first contact protocols. That is all." He closed the channel and looked at his senior officers. "Lisa, I want you to prepare a small shuttle for the diplomatic mission. Ben, you'll come with me to their ship. Amy, make sure our systems are running smoothly. I don't want any surprises while we're gone." "Sir," Hayes said hesitantly, "are you sure about this? They don't seem very friendly." Morrison smiled slightly. "That's exactly why we need to try diplomacy first. If they wanted to destroy us immediately, they would have done it already. The fact that they're willing to talk means we have a chance." Over the next few hours, the alien fleet grew larger on the sensors. The Defiant's crew watched as the massive ships approached, their hulls gleaming with unknown metals and strange energy patterns. The ships moved in perfect formation, like a school of mechanical fish swimming through space. "Admiral," Carter reported, "I'm getting detailed scans of their ships now. Their technology is impressive, but it's different from ours. Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases." "Keep scanning," Morrison ordered. "I want to know everything about those ships before we board one of them." The alien flagship was enormous, over 3,000 feet long and bristling with weapon systems. When the Defiant's shuttle approached, Morrison could see rows of gun ports along the alien ship's hull. Each weapon was larger than anything on his own ship. "Nervous, Admiral?" Carter asked as they prepared to dock with the alien vessel. Morrison checked his sidearm and adjusted his uniform one more time. "Always, Ben. But that's what keeps us alive." The shuttle's docking clamps engaged with a metallic clang that echoed through the small craft. Morrison and Carter gathered their equipment and prepared to meet the aliens face to face. Behind them, the Defiant waited in space, looking small and helpless against the backdrop of the massive alien fleet. But appearances, Morrison knew, could be very deceiving. The alien ship smelled like metal and something Morrison could not identify. The air was thicker than on the Defiant, and the gravity felt heavier. Strange lights lined the walls, casting purple shadows that made everything look unreal. Two Zephyrian guards escorted Morrison and Carter through long corridors. The aliens were tall, almost 7 feet, with long arms and legs. They wore dark armor that seemed to shift colors as they moved. Neither guard spoke during the walk. "Impressive ship," Carter whispered to Morrison as they passed massive blast doors and weapon control stations. Morrison nodded but said nothing. He was counting steps, memorizing the layout, and watching everything. The ship was certainly powerful, but something felt wrong. The technology looked advanced, but it also looked old, like it had not changed in a very long time. They reached a large room with a high ceiling. Fleet Commander Thexra waited for them, standing behind a curved table. 3 other aliens stood with him, all wearing similar dark uniforms with strange symbols on their chests. "Admiral Morrison," Thexra said, his voice echoing in the large space. "Welcome aboard the Destroyer of Worlds. This is Sub-Commander Vexhai, my science officer, and Commanders Zexko and Nalter." Morrison stepped forward and nodded politely. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. This is Lieutenant Commander Carter, my science officer." Vexhai moved closer, studying the humans with large black eyes. "Interesting. Your species is smaller than expected. Your technology readings are also limited." "We are explorers, not warriors," Morrison replied. "We seek knowledge and peaceful contact with other species." Thexra made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peaceful? Yes, that is what weak species always say. Tell me, Admiral, how many ships does your fleet have?" Morrison hesitated for just a moment. "We have several exploration vessels like the Defiant. Our mission is to map unknown space and report back to Earth." "Several," Thexra repeated. "Not hundreds? Not thousands?" "No," Morrison said quietly. "We are still new to deep space travel. The Defiant is one of our most advanced ships. The aliens looked at each other. Morrison could see something in their expressions. Disappointment, maybe even boredom. They had been expecting something more challenging. "Would you like to see our ship?" Morrison offered. "We would be happy to show you our technology in return for learning about yours." Vexhi's eyes seemed to brighten. "Yes, that would be educational." An hour later, the alien delegation stood on the Defiance Bridge. Morrison watched as they examined the control stations, looking at the displays and asking questions about the ship's systems. Captain Hayes showed them the navigation controls, explaining how they plotted courses through space. The system looked simple compared to Zephyrian technology, using basic computer displays and manual input controls. "This is your main computer?" Vexhi asked, pointing to a control panel. "One of them," Hayes replied. "We have several computer systems throughout the ship. Nothing too fancy, but they get the job done." Carter led the aliens to the engine room where Chief Engineer Rodriguez waited. She had prepared carefully for this visit, making sure only the basic systems were visible and active. "This is our main reactor," Rodriguez explained, pointing to a cylindrical device that hummed quietly. "It uses fusion power to drive our engines and provide electricity for the ship." Commander Zexko studied the reactor with interest. "Simple design, efficient for a primitive species. How much power does it produce?" Rodriguez gave him a number that was much lower than the reactor's actual output. "It's enough for our needs. We don't require as much energy as your ships." The aliens nodded, looking satisfied with this explanation. They spent time examining the life support systems, the food preparation areas, and the crew quarters. Everything they saw supported their belief that humans were a simple, peaceful species with basic technology. "Your weapons?" Thexra asked as they toured the ship. Morrison led them to what appeared to be the armory. Rows of simple projectile weapons hung on the walls, along with some basic energy weapons that looked old and worn. "These are for personal defense," Morrison explained. "We also have some defensive missiles, but nothing compared to what we saw on your ships." "Missiles," Nalter said with contempt. "Explosive projectiles. We stopped using such primitive weapons centuries ago." The tour continued for 2 hours. The aliens saw crew members working at their stations, all appearing nervous and overwhelmed by the presence of such advanced beings. Some of the younger crew members stared at the aliens with obvious fear and wonder. In the medical bay, Dr. Karen White showed them basic human medical equipment. The aliens seemed amused by the simple devices used to treat injuries and illness. "Your species has short lifespans?" Vexhi asked. "About 80 to 100 years, Dr. White replied. "How long do your people live?" "Over 400 years, Vexhi said proudly. "We have conquered death itself through superior technology." When the tour ended, the aliens gathered in the Defiance small conference room with Morrison, Carter, and Hayes. The humans had prepared simple food and drinks, which the aliens politely refused. "Your ship is adequate," Thexra said, choosing his words carefully. "Your people seem peaceful enough. Perhaps there is a place for humans in the Zephyrian Empire." "What would that mean?" Morrison asked. "You would become a client species," Thexra explained. "You would provide resources and labor to the Empire. In return, we would protect you from other threats and allow you to continue existing." Morrison frowned. "And if we refuse?" "Then your species would be eliminated," Thexra said simply. "It is not personal. It is simply how the universe works. The strong rule, the weak serve or die." The room fell silent. Morrison could see his officers tense up, but he kept his expression calm. "That's quite an offer," Morrison said finally. "But I cannot make such a decision for all of humanity. I would need to discuss this with my government." "Of course," Thexra agreed. "You have 12 of your hours to decide. After that, we will assume your answer is no." The aliens prepared to leave. As they walked toward their shuttle, Vexhi stopped and looked back at Carter. "Your species has potential," the alien said. "It would be unfortunate to waste it. Consider Commander Thexra's offer carefully." After the aliens left, Morrison called his senior officers to the conference room. They sat around the small table, all looking worried. "Well?" Morrison asked. What did everyone think? They're arrogant, Hayes said immediately. They think we're primitive and harmless. Good, Rodriguez said with a slight smile. That's exactly what we wanted them to think. Carter nodded. They never suspected that half the equipment they saw was fake or powered. Down. They have no idea what we're really capable of. Morrison leaned back in his chair. 12 hours. They're giving us 12 hours to surrender or be destroyed. Sir, Hayes said quietly, should we send the signal? Morrison looked around the table, at his officers. These people had volunteered for this mission knowing the risks. They trusted him to make the right choice. Not yet, Morrison said. Let them get comfortable first. Let them think they have us completely figured out. Outside the conference room, the Defiant continued its slow journey through space, looking like nothing more than a lost exploration ship facing impossible odds. The hours passed slowly on the Defiant. Morrison sat in his command chair watching the alien fleet on the main screen. The massive ships had spread out in an attack formation, their weapons pointed directly at his vessel. To anyone watching, it looked like 47 warships preparing to destroy one small exploration ship. Sir, Commander Tony Phillips said from the communication station. We're receiving signals from the fleet. They're discussing battle positions and targeting solutions. Are they saying anything interesting? Morrison asked. Phillips listened to his earpiece for a moment. Commander Thexra is telling his captains this will be quick. He says human ships are weak and their weapons are useless. Some of his officers are complaining that this won't even be good practice. Hayes looked up from her station. Admiral, they're powering up their main guns. Energy readings are climbing across their entire fleet. Morrison checked the time display on his chair's armrest. How long until the deadline? 15 minutes, sir, Carter replied. And our friends? Morrison asked quietly. Phillips smiled slightly. All 23 ships report ready, sir. They're waiting for your signal. Morrison nodded. The Defiant was not alone out here, despite what the Zephyrians believed. Hidden throughout the system, invisible to alien sensors, waited the rest of the human battle group. Ships that made the Defiant look like a toy. Ships with technology that would make the Zephyrians' weapons seem ancient. Admiral, Dr. White called from her station. I'm monitoring alien communications. Their medical teams are preparing for casualties. They expect some resistance from us. How thoughtful of them, Morrison said dryly. The main screen flickered, and Thexra's face appeared again. The alien commander looked pleased with himself, like someone about to win an easy game. Admiral Morrison, Thexra said, your time is almost finished. Have you made your decision? Morrison stood up and smoothed his uniform. Yes, Commander. Thexra, we have decided. Excellent. You will surrender your ship and submit to Zephyrian authority? No, Morrison said simply. We decline your generous offer. Thexra's expression changed from amusement to surprise, then to anger. You refuse? Your single ship against our entire fleet? Are you insane? Possibly, Morrison replied. But we humans have a saying, never judge a book by its cover. Your sayings will not save you, Thexra snarled. You have chosen death over servitude. So be it. The screen went black. Morrison turned to face his crew. Every person on the bridge was looking at him, waiting for the order they had trained for. Red, alert, Morrison commanded. All hands to battle stations. Warning lights flashed throughout the ship. The soft hum of normal operations changed to the deeper throb of combat systems coming online. Blast shutters closed over the windows, and the bridge lighting shifted to a dim red glow. Weapons online, Hayes reported, her fingers dancing over controls that looked very different now than they had during the alien tour. Shields at maximum, Rodriguez called from engineering. All systems showing green. Communications ready, Phillips announced, standing by to transmit the signal. Morrison looked at the tactical display showing the Zephyrian fleet. 47 ships in perfect attack formation, their weapons charged and ready. They were so confident, so sure of their victory. Tony, Morrison said quietly. Send the message. Phillips pressed a single button on his console. Across the system, Hidden human ships received a simple coded transmission. Game time. The effect was immediate and spectacular. One by one, human vessels appeared throughout the system as their cloaking devices deactivated. The UHS Reaper materialized directly behind the Zephyrian flagship. The UHS Thunder dropped its stealth field just above the alien formation. The UHS Falcon appeared to the left, launching clouds of fighter drones. On the main screen, Morrison watched Thexra's bridge. The alien commander was staring at his displays in complete shock as more and more human ships revealed themselves. His bridge crew was shouting reports in their own language, voices rising in panic. "Sir," Carter said with satisfaction, "the aliens are scanning us now. Their sensors are going crazy." The Defiant itself was transforming. Hidden armor plates slid into position, revealing the ship's true military design. Weapon ports opened along the hull, and massive gun barrels extended from concealed bays. The simple exploration vessel was gone, replaced by a heavily armed battle cruiser. "Admiral," Hayes reported, "all weapons charged and ready. Targeting solutions locked on the entire enemy fleet." Morrison activated the main communication system. "Attention Zephyrian fleet. This is Admiral Morrison. I believe you wanted to see our weapons." The human ships demonstrated their capabilities in perfect coordination. Energy beams lanced out from the Reaper, striking the Zephyrian flagship's shields. The alien barriers, so impressive before, collapsed like soap bubbles. The Thunder fired a single quantum torpedo that passed through 3 alien ships, disabling their engines without destroying them. From the Falcon, hundreds of fighter drones swarmed toward the Zephyrian formation. The alien point defense systems tried to stop them, but the human fighters moved too fast and there were too many of them. In seconds, they had attached themselves to alien hulls and begun cutting through armor with precision tools. "My God," Carter whispered, watching the tactical display. "Look at their formation. It's falling apart." The Zephyrian ships were trying to retreat, but human vessels appeared behind them, cutting off escape routes. Some alien captains fired their weapons desperately, but the energy blasts had no effect on human shields. It was like throwing rocks at a mountain. Morrison opened a channel to the Zephyrian flagship. Thexra's face appeared on screen, but he looked very different now. His skin was pale, and his large eyes were wide with fear. "Commander Thexra," Morrison said calmly, "are you ready to discuss terms?" "What are you?" Thexra asked, his voice shaking. "Your sensors showed basic technology. Your ship appeared primitive. How is this possible?" "We're humans," Morrison replied, "and humans are very good at hiding things until we need them. Your scouts have been watching our space for months. Did you think we didn't notice?" On the tactical display, more human ships continued to appear. The hidden battle group was massive. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and ships of types the Zephyrians had never seen before. Each one was armed with weapons that made alien technology look like museum pieces. "Impossible," Thexra breathed. "Our intelligence report said you were a primitive species, new to space travel, weak." "Your intelligence was looking at exactly what we wanted them to see," Morrison explained. "We've been preparing for this meeting for a long time, Commander. We knew you were coming." Colonel Kate Sullivan's voice came over the communication system from the Reaper. "Admiral, enemy flagship is powered down. All weapons offline. They're not going anywhere." "Thank you, Kate," Morrison replied. He looked back at Thexra on the screen. "Commander, I think it's time we had a real conversation about the future, but this time we'll be talking as equals." Around the system, the Zephyrian fleet sat helpless, surrounded by human ships they had never seen coming. The trap was complete, and there was no escape. The battle was over before it truly began. Around the system, Zephyrian ships floated helplessly, their engines dead and weapons offline. Human vessels surrounded them like wolves circling wounded prey, but the wolves were choosing not to kill. Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the tactical display. Red dots showed disabled alien ships. Green dots showed human vessels in perfect attack positions. The numbers told the story. 47 Zephyrian warships neutralized by 24 human ships in less than 10 minutes. Damage report, Morrison ordered. All human ships report minimal damage, Hayes replied. The Thunder took some hits to their outer armor, but nothing serious. No casualties anywhere in the fleet. And the aliens? Carter checked his readings. 15 Zephyrian ships have lost main power. 22 have damaged weapons. The rest are powered down voluntarily. Total alien casualties appear to be light, mostly injuries from sudden stops and falling equipment. Morrison nodded with satisfaction. The plan had worked perfectly. Disable, don't destroy. Show overwhelming force but use restraint. Make the lesson clear without unnecessary killing. Sir, Phillips announced, Commander Thexra is requesting another communication. Put him through, Morrison said. The main screen flickered, showing the alien commander's bridge. The lighting was dim and smoke drifted in the background. Thexra looked older somehow, his confidence completely gone. Admiral Morrison, Thexra said quietly, we surrender. I figured that much, Morrison replied. The question is, what happens next? Thexra was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. You could have destroyed us all. Your weapons are far beyond ours. Why did you show mercy? Morrison walked closer to the screen. Because that's what civilized species do, Commander. We don't kill unless we have no other choice. Civilized, Thexra repeated, as if testing the word. We have conquered dozens of species. We thought civilization meant strength, the ability to take what you want from the weak. That's not civilization, Morrison said firmly. That's just bullying with bigger guns. On the tactical display, Morrison could see human ships moving into escort positions around the disabled Zephyrian vessels. Medical ships were already docking, with alien vessels that had casualties. Human doctors and engineers were offering assistance to their former enemies. Admiral, Dr. White reported from her station. The alien ship Vex-High's Revenge has 17 injured crew members. They're asking for medical help. Send over a medical team, Morrison ordered. Full assistance, no restrictions. Thexra watched this exchange with amazement. You are helping us? After we came here to destroy you? Your people are hurt, Morrison said simply. That's what matters right now. Colonel Rick Barnes contacted the Defiant from his carrier ship. Admiral, my fighter squadrons are requesting permission to assist with alien ship repairs. Some of their vessels have life support problems. Permission granted, Morrison replied. Help anyone who needs it. Thexra stared at Morrison through the screen. I do not understand your species. We came to conquer you. We threatened to destroy your ship and enslave your people. Now you risk your own crew to save ours. Why? Morrison sat down in his command chair and looked directly at the alien commander. Because that's who we are, Thexra. Humans help other people even when those people were trying to hurt us. It's what makes us human. But we are your enemies, Thexra protested. You were our enemies, Morrison corrected. Past tense. Right. Now you're just people who need help. Over the next several hours, human medical teams worked aboard Zephyrian ships. Engineer teams repaired damaged systems. Supply ships delivered food and medical supplies to vessels that needed them. The aliens watched in confusion as their conquerors became their rescuers. Captain Laura King contacted Morrison from her assault cruiser. Admiral, the alien crews are asking a lot of questions. They want to know why we're helping them. Some of them seem to think it's a trick. Tell them the truth, Morrison replied. We help because it's the right thing to do. By the end of the day, all Zephyrian ships had power restored and their injured crew members were receiving proper medical care. The alien fleet was still surrounded, but they were no longer helpless. Morrison called a final meeting with Thexra. This time the alien commander came aboard the Defiant voluntarily, bringing only 2 officers with him. They met in the same conference room where they had talked before, but everything was different now. Your ship is not what it appeared to be, Thexra said, looking around the room. The walls showed their true nature now, advanced computer displays, sophisticated communication equipment and technology far beyond anything in Zephyrian space. No, it's not. Morrison agreed. We've been watching your empire for almost a year, Commander. We knew about your expansion, your methods, your technology. When we detected your fleet heading toward human space, we prepared this welcome. A trap, Thexra said. A test, Morrison corrected. We needed to know what kind of species we were dealing with. Would you try to communicate, or would you simply attack? Would you show mercy to those weaker than yourself, or would you demand surrender? Thexra lowered his head. We failed your test. Yes, you did, Morrison said honestly. But that doesn't mean you can't learn from it. What do you want from us? Thexra asked. Morrison leaned forward across the table. Go back to your empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that humanity exists, that we're not weak, and that we're not interested in being conquered. But also tell them that we're willing to talk, to trade, to coexist peacefully. And if they don't listen? If they send a larger fleet? Morrison's expression grew serious. Then they'll discover that the 24 ships you saw today were just the ones we wanted you to see. Earth has been preparing for contact with hostile aliens for decades. This was our welcome party, not our main fleet. The alien commander was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, How many ships do you really have? Morrison smiled slightly. Enough, Commander. More than enough. What about the species we have already conquered, the worlds we rule? That's between you and them, Morrison replied. But I'd suggest you start treating them better. Word spreads fast in space. Other species will hear about what happened here. They'll know that someone finally stood up to the Zephyrian Empire and won. Thexra stood up slowly. You are releasing us? Your ships are repaired, and your crews are healthy, Morrison said. You're free to go home whenever you're ready. This is not how conquests are supposed to end, Thexra said, shaking his head. No, Morrison agreed, standing to face the alien commander. This is how first contact is supposed to begin. The next morning, the Zephyrian fleet departed the system. Their ships moved slowly, still damaged but functional. As they left, Thexra sent one final message to the Defiant. Admiral Morrison, my people will remember this day. Some will call for revenge. Others will call for peace. I hope the peaceful voices win. Morrison watched the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. Around him, the human fleet was already preparing to disperse. Their mission was complete. Think they'll be back? Hayes asked. Morrison looked at the stars where the alien fleet had vanished. Maybe. But if they do come back, they'll come to talk, not to fight. They know now that humanity isn't prey. The Defiant turned toward home, no longer pretending to be a simple exploration vessel. Behind them, space was quiet again. But the galaxy was a different place now. Word would spread that there was a new species among the stars, one that was strong enough to defend itself and wise enough to show mercy. The hunt was over, and the hunters had learned who the real predators were.